Give me Xaereth and or liberty, or give me death. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails. Folks, today I wanted to talk about 5 things that I've learned in this past 5v5 season, and the goal is to keep it between 8 to 10 minutes. It's the stated goal. We'll see if I can actually make it, but I did have the worst season I've ever had in 5v5. I went 9-3, which isn't terrible, but I want to learn from my mistakes, and I hope that you guys can too. It could be a learning experience, folks. I hold myself to a higher standard, and I want to, learn from this instead of just whine about RNG and stuff like that. So, one quick reminder, folks, if you could please just hit that like button or leave a comment in the comments area. We're mounting the algorithm. Please help with that. It's been amazing how impactful you guys have been. Thank you so much for that. That being said, let's get some B-reel footage going and get to the actual discussion. So the first thing, folks, that I learned is you need to keep on top of your tech. You need to, especially if you're playing in Division 1, where everyone has all the toys. You need to be able to play with all the things that are going to help you. And so that being said, Jedi Master Kenobi, not good on defense. You need to, that's something I personally learned. You put him on defense and tons of different teams can counter you. It is not a good choice whatsoever. You have Bad Batch that can counter them, and even just straight up Padme can counter a Jedi Master Kenobi team without Cat. If you put Cat with him, then it becomes a legitimate defense. Now, Rey Cat is a good team, except it can be beat by Sith Eternals that have a ton of health. Keep that in mind. And then Malak and Troopers can beat. Everyone's been taking that Maul team with Darth Revan, and it's like it beats Troopers, right? Except if you put Malak with the Troopers, then it's a super smooth 60 all the way to the bank. So really good to be on top of your tech, and this is all stuff I just didn't really know this season, and it all cost me big time. Now, next up, guys, Slugfest Defense, Slugfest playstyle. It can work okay, but if you don't have the right counters, like it can, that's the type of style I like to play a lot, and I struggled a lot because what ended up happening, guys, is I could beat all of the bad teams, but the central teams, I just kept finding that I didn't have enough counters if I put too many good things on defense. And so you got to find a balance, obviously, but I think that in general, Slugfest Defense is going to be put on hiatus. Like, you can't put every single team that you have that's really strong. You can't put a ton of amazing teams on defense and expect to be able to full clear in the current situation, because now a lot of the counters require a lot of different teams to be smashed into one, like being able to use Jedi Master Luke to be able to counter Kenobi Cat. You can do it, but you need, at the very minimum, Jedi Master Luke with Revan and Jedi Knight Luke, and then either Ki-Adi-Mundi or, even better, General Skywalker. So you need to be able to have a release valve, and so putting some filler teams on defense is not necessarily bad. Try to find a team that will steal some banners, potentially, and move along. Third, guys, do your research. This is pretty similar to the first one, but keep in mind there is a lot going on with the new kits. Like Lord Vader, relatively unknown, especially with their ultimate. This is the first season with it. Executor, we're finally starting to get some good tech against Executor, but it's still a very complex kit, a very difficult team to beat, and you need to learn that. You need to learn how Rey Cat operates, and the Sith Eternal can apparently just beat it as long as you have Armorer and Watt. You need to learn that we're all going to learn how Maul works in a couple weeks. And it's all going to, there's been times that I was saved by having good tech, and there's times that I was just boned because I didn't know. My ignorance was vast, and I didn't have a lot of time. There was issues, with my personal life and stuff, being able to find the time to do all that research, but do your research, folks, and if you can test. I mean, granted, this is for GAC, and if you don't want to spend all your time in crystals testing, that I get that, but find someone who can help you out, guys. That's very important. I mean, for the most part, I mean that's why we're doing the Patreon thing and everything. I mean, it's a great opportunity to help. If you don't want to do that, you can always join the Discord server. There's a ton of great discussion. Check in the video description and click on that link. Go visit my Discord server. Lots of good resources there. Finally, penultimate one, guys. Executor. This season was a massive pain. There is not a great solution. I said that we're getting better tech, and we are. People are coming up with things, but right now, it is so frustrating because if you one-shot your opponent with your Malevolence comp, which is, you know, it's like, what, 60 to 70% that it happens, assuming they don't have like a Relic 8 cat or something. If you can do that, and you beat your opponent with your Malevolence, and your opponent has to two-shot, like that's a 20 banner swing right there, or at the very least like a 10 banner, probably 20 though, and because inevitably if you win with that comp, you're gonna still drop a bunch of banners, but it can be really frustrating to have your match decided entirely by RNG, and that's something that I've just had to accept, as I think that in the end, I mean, my buddy Solo Base 15 is convinced that as long as you get Relic 9 on your Executor, then it kind of just changes everything. Even your mirror matches, somehow it fundamentally changes so that you can actually win every single one of your matches. I don't know if that's the answer, but we need some way to deal with Executor, and taking it as the mirror match at Relic 8 is not the answer. Now, finally, the last thing I want to point out, and this is probably something that I've just been talking about a lot this season, and I mean, this is kind of a recurring theme in all of this, is offensive flexibility, guys, is very important. Having teams that can take on multiple different teams, being able to pick and choose what you want to do. Like, my sisters, super valuable on offense because they can not only take down lower level teams consistently, they can also punch upward and take out Commander Luke if you're desperate, take out a Jedi Training Rey team if you're desperate, or at least give you a chance. I mean, even against General Grievous, etc. So being able to find these different characters that can actually, or these teams to be able to beat all of them is I keep saying it, but very important. I mean, being able to, I think the biggest thing though for me is having your B teams take out their B teams and your A- teams, you know, all of that stuff. Have all the teams that are non-Galactic Legends take out all the teams below that, and then having the right Galactic Legends available. I think that is key, and I think that in general, I say to set a really strong defense, and that's good. But keep in mind that if your opponent changes your stuff and their stuff and you've done research, you can be blindsided. That happened to me a couple different times. My last week, I did not clear a single time because my opponents changed their defenses so dramatically against me that I had no recourse to be able to clear. And even though I won 2 of those matches, the third one took me so off guard, it wasn't even a close match because they just changed like one team. And that was it. Plus they had tech that I didn't have. I mean, that was like the culmination of all the fails, right? But it's a really important truth, guys, that if you don't have offensive flexibility, you can't clear. And keep in mind, if you want to make Kyber, you need to be full clearing most of your matches, or you're going to end up like people who are on my Discord server sometimes who show like, hey, I got 10-2, but I didn't make Kyber because I only cleared half the board each time. You need to, the math of it said, like, if you can get full clears and wins and a couple feats, all you have to do is win like 6 or 7 matches, or you can win like 10 or 11 and barely make Kyber if you don't full clear. So that is it for me, guys. Offensive flexibility, have good tech and knowledge, do your research. So all of those 3 things tied together really well. Slugfest Defense doesn't work super well anymore. You need to have some kind of filler teams a lot of times until we have a release valve. And Executor is just an annoying ship and should be killed somehow with fire, preferably. Maybe we get an A-wing or something to be able to take it out as an off-meta counter. That being said, folks, that's it. I think we've made our 10 minutes, so thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails. See you in 3v3, folks. This will be fun.